Welcome to Offseason 2 for the Rapid City Stegos, and boy, do we have some changes and drama to report on. Let's start with the awesome news of Rapid City finishing 16 in the Coaches Poll and 14 in the AP Poll after pulling off a 12-2 season after going 7-6 in year one. An amazing year for the Ragtag Stegos. But because of that, talent has been swooped from Joey Galloway's staff again. So let's get into notable coaching changes first. 70-year-old Nick Saban and 70-year-old Mac Brown retired after not being able to pull off the national title this year. Bama brings in head coach Pete Golding from Minnesota, and North Carolina promotes their DC Jay Bateman to head coach. Now here's the drama. Former Rapid City defensive coordinator and now Ohio State defensive coordinator Mike Doss was hired to coach the Ohio Bobcats. This left Ohio State looking for a new DC, and guess what? They poached Galloway again and took Rapid City's AJ Hawk to be the new Buckeye DC. 2 years in a row. And finally, Toledo needed a new coach after East Carolina stole theirs. So why not pilfer Rapid City again? We say goodbye to offensive coordinator Maurice Claret as he now coaches the Toledo Rockets. We're going to have some heated storylines in the MAC this year. Now, how did Rapid City fill the voids left by Hawk and Claret? Well, Clayton White was fired from his job as DC for South Carolina after they went 4-8, so he gets a shot at redemption with the Stegos. And at OC, the Stegos filled the need with Barry Lunny Jr., who was fired from his OC position with Northwestern after they went 1-11. These two guys have a lot to prove, though, so hopefully that hunger can help them as they adapt to Galloway's system. Now, on to some school records that broke. Freshman Michael McCormick broke Jamarcus Ingram's career and season interception record with 4. I know, it's not a lot. And Anthony McLaurin broke Kyle Van Treese's season passing touchdown record with 23. And also set the season passing yards record with 2,994 yards. A lot of other records were set this year, with McDuffie rushing for 1,516 tutties that were both season records. Big body Damon Williams with 18 sacks in his career. And Charlie Hall with 57 catches, over 1,000 yards, and 7 touchdowns, all receiving records in a season for the young Stegos. Now, nationally, McDuffie's rushing total was 8. McLaurin's passing total was 23rd. Charlie Hall's receiving total was 14th. Brent Joseph led the nation in solo tackles with 80, with Waits and Zimmer right behind. But not gonna lie, this seems a little broken. But we're saving the best for last here, as big body Damon Williams leads the nation in sacks with 11, and the unsung hero Deshaun Folsom with 9, which had him come in at a respectable 5th in the nation. Next up, let's get to signing day, shall we? With only one scholarship left to offer, all eyes were on Shine Valentine. We followed the drama all season long. Was he going to go to Texas? Was he going to go to Rapid City? Back and forth and flip-flops. Back and forth, back and forth. So, Rapid City threw the whole bag at him and full court pressed the kid for the commit, and in a weird turn of events, Shine decided he was done. He was retiring from football and focusing on his baseball career. A huge waste of time for Rapid City and all who pursued the young man, but best of luck to him in his future. It just stinks that all of that was a waste. Anthony McLaurin breathing a sigh of relief on this one, though. So just who is leaving Rapid City this year? As we did last year, we're using the latest version of Fang's tools for all off-season events, including the new transfer tool. So, okay, well, it's all graduation as another bucket of seniors says goodbye. Big body Damon Williams and Dylan McDuffie are the headliners here. A surprise that neither was drafted into the NFL at all. Maybe one will get a shot on a practice squad, who knows. Max Mitchell is also a player note here that came through in big moments, and who can forget Corey Gross Jr. with the pick 6 against Boise State in the last season's bowl game. He might be terrible ratings-wise, and he didn't really show up this year, but the guy will always have that moment. And Bernard Porter, solid wide receiver that also deserves a mention here. So let's move on. Let's get to the transfer portal. Just as Rapid City did last season, there's one guy looking to be a Stego. Eugenio Booker. I hope that's how you say that. A redshirt junior halfback out of Florida comes over from Tulane. He was sparingly used in his first 2 years, but will immediately find time in Rapid City. The guy is fast with great agility. At 5'11", 200 pounds, he could be Rapid City's version of Mayan Williams. You know, and speaking of that little bowling ball of a man, he transferred to Maryland for more playing time. Now on to what is the favorite area of the offseason for a lot of people, position changes. Perhaps the greatest recruit in the class, and in Rapid City's young history, is Cloud McFly. While Cloud could be a decent running back and even throw the ball a little bit, he fits best out at wide receiver. So that is where he will begin. New addition Alani Neal will stay at halfback but play second fiddle to Booker, the transfer from Tulane. While 6', 185 RJ Myrick moves from his projection at wide receiver over to halfback as more of a scat back kind of guy where the logjam gets bigger. So now we have a decision to make. Who is moving from running back? Senior Jeremy White is a good candidate. He showed up at times last year but while the senior won't see the field much of wide receiver, he will see it as a return man. We will get White some touches. So now let's check out the O-line. Marcus Windsor can provide us depth somewhere else, as we have Pankos at left tackle, and he should be there all 4 years. This, however, creates another jam at center. Right guard Larry Mack will move over to left guard to give Stegos an improvement there, and Bailey Fusick will hold down right tackle. Now on to the defense. Hyla Gibson. He's an improvement at left end, but my God, we have a lot of guys at right end. So we'll move Chris King to left end to balance things out just a little bit. Swan Toa, the transfer from last season, immediately tops our defensive tackles as 3 seniors follow behind him. Jake Zimmer, great middle linebacker, moves over to left outside linebacker, and the rest of the defense stays where they are. So let's see if any guys improved in training and how that affects red shirts and cutting. Let's start at quarterback, shall we? McLaurin improves to an 80, but his accuracy doesn't move. Highly disappointing. All right, moving on to running backs. The transfer Booker goes up 5 to an 81 with his awareness jumping 10 and his elusiveness going up 9. Juke and spin also way up. Looking forward to seeing what Booker can give us. Out at wide receiver, Laybourne, great season. Improves a tiny bit while Petty remains the same, and that is disappointing. He had some big catches, but didn't want it. Charlie Hall jumps up 4 and somehow gets faster at 96 speed. His agility is still garbage though, and we shouldn't even talk about his putrid hands, but he somehow has great spec catch and catch in traffic ratings. I don't know. And you know, Hall by far has the best release ratings in the group, so deep balls incoming. I shouldn't have said that, but Ryan Clark, who was redshirted last year, may finally be ready to see the field this season. He is also a burner with bad agility, just like Hall. Now at tight end, Hill was playing NCAA 14 and regressed, while 6'6" Stevens will get his shot this year. At left tackle, Kalen Shepard moves to a 74. Left guard, Gorchika improves quite a bit to 71. Center Benz Polgar, who was solid last year, moves to a 76. Right guard Doty to a 73, and right tackle DeAndre Doran hits 70. A decent result for the O-line. They look pretty solid. Now defense wins championships, and Kyler Lang at right end wants one. The guy moves to an 82 for his senior year, while CJ Bazile hits 73. Defensive tackle Rapid City's looking solid as Toa, Folsom, and Wolo all hit mid to high 70s to try to replace the giant void left by big body Damon Williams. Zimmer is only a 68 at left outside linebacker, and Dolik didn't improve at all in the middle. The lone bright spot at linebacker is Fabian Waits, who had a solid improvement to 75 with a 10 spot to his awareness. Now let's move over to the ever important and super young spot of corner for this team. A lot of freshmen last year. They've all become sophomores, and McCormick hits his sophomore year as a 72 and doesn't improve at all. Might be the biggest disappointment of training so far. And then we've got Jared West, who moves up a little bit, and look at that man's man coverage, jumping to a 92. We finally have a guy that can man someone up. Out at free safety, the senior Marcus Fuqua showed out and hit 79, but look at Brent Joseph, also not improving at all. The guy led the nation in tackles last year and just decided that was good enough. He didn't need to improve anymore. Slacker. So who's getting cut? Louis Love? I'm sorry. We don't need 2 fullbacks. Cameron Cord? I'm sorry. You just didn't give us what we expected. Bryce Johnson-Mate, a redshirt junior right end from Maryland. You gotta go. John Cox, I know we redshirted you, but you're gonna have to try to catch on somewhere else, man. I'm sorry. Niles Borders was a depth get, and I'm sorry, sir, but you are gone as well. Now this one hurts, as you don't want to cut senior guys, especially redshirt seniors, but at the bottom of the depth chart in your 5th year, it's time to go. Mark Miller shouldn't even be playing football, let alone be on this team. He's gone. And one last guy, another 5th-year senior, has got to go. Marilyn Johnson, you will never get on the field, so we say goodbye to you. Now let's redshirt some guys, shall we? Alani Neal, the fastest top-end speed in the backfield, is getting the year to train up, with plenty of depth at the position. Jordan Gorey's a monster at wide receiver at 6'6", 217, but he's at the very bottom of a very deep wide receiver core, so he gets a redshirt. Now because of Shepard's great training results, Hunter Pankos gets a redshirt, and we'll stay on the O-line with Larry Matt getting the red shirt, and 2 centers in Vince Goodger and Marcus Windsor, and right guard Cade Murr all redding up. Now let's move over to the defense, and Shockey Duke will sit the year as the Stegos are deep at right end, and that means Drake Durant IV will also sit. Hardwreck Parker, who I keep wanting to call Hardwreck Pecker, gets a red shirt at defensive tackle, and 2 middle linebackers in Cameron Lombard and Luke Tecox also take a seat and throw on red, and that rounds out the red shirts. Now Rapid City starts season 3 under Joey Galloway, who is an A-plus coach prestige now, at 48th in the nation, but predicted to finish 2nd in the MAC East. The Heisman way too early frontrunner is Travion Henderson, and Rapid City brings some preseason first-team All-Americans back in strong safety Brent Joseph and returner Colby Burrow, and sitting pretty on the second team is Deshaun Deshaun Folsom at defensive tackle. Now, all MAC first team is loaded with Stegos, with McLaurin, Charlie Hall, Deshaun Folsom, Jake Zimmer, Fabian Waits, Michael McCormick, Marcus Fuqua, Brent Joseph, Kobe Burrow. That is almost the entire defense. They better play to that potential this season. And the second team all MAC has Kyler Lang, George Wolo, and corner Lawrence Burns for even more defensive recognition. You got to be excited about the Stego defense. Now, the 4-year outlook, looking better, but still not great to see a 100 plus in there. You got to get that down. And hey, look at that. Dart Pit, 85th on toughest places to play. And rumors are that stadium could be getting a renovation soon. Or they could just, knock it down and build something new. We'll take a look at the recruiting board for this season at halftime of the Week 1 game versus FCS East. But right now, let's look at Rapid City's schedule for year 3. After FCS East, the gauntlet is there. The Stegos will travel to Death Valley in Week 2 to take on number 10 Clemson, then bring number 1 Michigan to the Tar Pit, and finally wrap up a nightmare stretch with number 21 Notre Dame at home before getting into the MAC schedule and taking on former offensive coordinator, but now Toledo head coach, Maurice Clarett. Don't forget, I'm working on mocap aspect of this series. I'm attempting to have it start up in Week 1 or soon after that, somewhere in there. Let me know in the comments what you're looking forward to most this season from Rapid City, and I'll see you in the next video. But until then, drop a like and go Stegos.